At the center of Moscow, behind red walls and towers of shadow, stands a fortress that was never only built to defend. For centuries, the Kremlin did not simply protect rulers. It taught a vast land where power lived, prayed, judged, and survived. Its walls witnessed princes, tsars, patriarchs, emperors, revolutionaries, generals, and modern leaders, each leaving another layer inside the same stone boundary. But the story begins before the Red Towers, before the grand palaces, before the word Kremlin became a symbol recognized across the world. It begins on Borovitsky Hill, where rivers created defense, trade created ambition, and a small wooden stronghold began to imagine itself as Moscow. According to medieval chronicles, by the 12th century, a fortified settlement was rising here, a practical answer to a violent world of rival princes and raiding armies. What could rise quickly, but what could burn? And Moscow would learn that survival demanded more than a fence around a hill. After the Mongol destruction of the 13th century, Moscow rebuilt, not only as a memory of defeat, but as a promise to endure. By the 14th century, the fortress began to change material. Oak gave way to white limestone, and Moscow's rulers turned survival into a visible statement of permanence. Dmitry Donskoy's Whitestone Citadel was more than military engineering. It was a statement. Moscow intended to stay. The fortress faced sieges, fires, and shifting alliances. Each crisis made the idea of the Kremlin harder to separate from the idea of survival. Then came the transformation that gave the Kremlin its face, the red walls, the towers, and the architecture of imperial ambition. In the late 15th century, Ivan III invited architects from northern Italy to remake Moscow's fortress into something both defensive and theatrical. This was not a simple renovation. It was a political redesign, a medieval capital dressed in the visual language of permanence, ceremony, and command. Between 1485 and 1495, the red brick walls and towers that still define the Kremlin's silhouette took shape across the hill. The fortress became an irregular triangle of power, wrapped around palaces, churches, gates, courtyards, and the highest ambitions of Moscow's rulers. Every tower had a purpose. Some guarded approaches, some controlled gates, some framed ceremonies. Together, they turned architecture into a language of command. The Tainitskaya Tower, the first tower of the new red brick system, guarded the riverside, where supply, defense, and secrecy mattered. The Spasskaya Tower became something more visible, a gate of authority, a threshold between the public city and the protected heart of rule. But the Kremlin's power did not come from walls alone. Inside them, sacred architecture turned political rule into something that felt larger than earthly command. Cathedral Square became the spiritual center of the fortress, an open-air chamber where rulers stood before God before ruling over people. The Assumption Cathedral, completed in 1479, became one of Moscow's principal sacred stages and a place where Russian rulers were crowned. Here, architecture did what armies alone could not. It made authority feel ancient, sacred, and almost inevitable. The Annunciation Cathedral served the rulers more privately, a palace church where power met confession, ritual, and conscience. The Archangel Cathedral held another kind of power, memory. It became a dynastic necropolis for Moscow's princes and tsars, turning death into architecture. In the Kremlin, even memory remained political. The tombs reminded every successor that power was inherited under watchful walls. Above the square, the Ivan the Great Bell Tower rose like a vertical claim. Moscow was no longer only a city, but a center. Its bells did not merely mark time. They announced ceremonies, danger, victory, mourning, and the rhythm of public life itself. The Kremlin also needed rooms where decisions could be made away from crowds, beneath painted vaults and behind heavy doors. The faceted chamber became a place of receptions, ceremonies, diplomacy, and carefully staged power. Foreign envoys entered these spaces and understood the message before a single word was translated. Moscow wanted to be seen as a power of imperial scale. After the fall of Constantinople, some Moscow rulers and church thinkers increasingly imagined their city as an heir to sacred imperial authority. The Kremlin became a place where faith, bloodline, and military defense fused into a single image of rule. Then Ivan IV, remembered as Ivan the Terrible, pushed the fortress into an age of conquest, suspicion, and increasingly absolute rule. The Kremlin's chambers saw triumph, but also paranoia. Behind thick walls, power could feel protected and imprisoned. Outside the walls, Moscow expanded. Inside them, the fortress became the machine room of a growing state. When the imperial capital later shifted to St. Petersburg, the Kremlin lost much of its daily court life, but not its symbolic gravity. The old fortress remained the ancestral heart, the place rulers returned to when they needed history, ritual, and memory to bless their power. In the 19th century, new imperial buildings joined the old stones, turning the Kremlin into an even more layered archive of Russian statehood. The Grand Kremlin Palace was not medieval, yet it borrowed visual authority from everything around it. Every generation changed the Kremlin, but none could erase the strange force of the place. Walls made of defense, rooms made of ritual. Then, in 1917, revolution broke the old order. A fortress long associated with tsars was about to house a new kind of power. In 1918, the Soviet government moved from Petrograd to Moscow, and the Kremlin became the headquarters of a state that claimed to reject monarchy. The irony was monumental. A revolution against crowns settled inside a fortress of coronations. Some religious buildings inside the Kremlin were demolished during the Soviet period, leaving absences as powerful as surviving walls. The fortress did not simply preserve history. It also revealed what each regime was willing to remove. Imperial eagles were removed from the main towers. Red stars appeared above them. The silhouette changed, but the message remained. Power looked down from the walls. Under Stalin, the Kremlin became more closed, more guarded, and more ominous in the imagination of the outside world. Yet, even in secrecy, the old fortress kept speaking through architecture, towers, domes, gates, and windows no ideology could fully silence. During the Second World War, the Kremlin was camouflaged from enemy aircraft, its towers, roofs, and open spaces disguised to blend into the city. For a place built to be seen, survival briefly required invisibility. After the war, the Kremlin remained both monument and command center, a museum of the past wrapped around decisions of the present. In 1955, after years of closure, parts of the Kremlin reopened to visitors, allowing the public to look again through the gates of Russian history. But seeing the Kremlin is not the same as understanding it. Its power lies in the way it compresses centuries into a single walk. One step reveals medieval defense. Another reveals sacred ceremony. Another reveals imperial theater. Another reveals revolutionary control. The Kremlin is not a single building. It is a city inside a city, formed by pressure, fear, faith, ambition, and time. Its walls are thick, but its real defense has always been psychological, the sense that what happens inside is larger than ordinary life. That is why the Kremlin has survived not only as architecture, but as an idea. The world sees a fortress. Inside Russian history, it holds layers of victory, trauma, faith, authority, and memory built into stone. The Kremlin's stones were shaped by masons, but its meaning was shaped by every ruler who needed them. Ivan III needed a capital worthy of a rising Moscow. The tsars needed sacred legitimacy. The Soviet state needed command. Modern power inherited all of it: the walls, the rituals, the secrecy, and the immense weight of the past. This is what makes the Kremlin different from a ruin. It is not only remembered, it is still used. A ruined fortress tells us who once ruled. The Kremlin asks a more uncomfortable question: how does power keep renewing itself? The answer is partly in stone, partly in ceremony, and partly in the human need to make authority visible. A wall can stop an army. A cathedral can sanctify a ruler. A palace can stage obedience. Together, they become a system. That system is why the Kremlin became more than Moscow's fortress. It became the architectural body of Russian state power. And like every body of power, it carries scars. Some scars are visible in brick and stone. Others are invisible. Absences where monasteries stood, rooms where decisions vanished into secrecy. The most powerful places are rarely simple. They are beautiful and threatening, sacred and political, open to view and closed in meaning. The Kremlin is exactly that kind of place, a monument that refuses to belong to only one century. To stand before it is to stand before a question that has shaped Russia for generations. Is power protected by walls, or do walls become powerful because people believe in what they hide? The Kremlin's answer has lasted across centuries. Build high, pray deeply, rule from within, and let the walls speak for you. At the heart of Moscow, the fortress remains, not as a simple relic of power, but as one of power's oldest living languages.